Hello to everyone. I'm Andrea Menghini from Gemax Support and Training Team, and today I will present you the XPAD Ultimate Photographic Survey and X-Photo solution. So how we can directly move from the field application, field photogrammetry application to XPAD Office Fusion, the NX photo module for processing the photogrammetry acquisition. Okay, so during this webinar, we will have a small introduction about the photographic survey, how we can also acquire the photos directly on field. Then we will move to the Office software, check it together the functionality of the software related to the photogrammetry processing, check together how we can process the data acquired directly on field, then drawing functionality dedicated to the point cloud and especially to the X-Photo solution and the X-Photo tools. If you have any question, you can write directly on chat. You can find the dashboard panel directly on the GoToWebinar application. Okay, photographic survey. Photographic survey is the application that you can directly find in the XPAD Ultimate field software from survey to build to also the other software releases. That basically is directly in the survey page. Photographic survey is here, and this basically allows you to create a data set of photogrammetric images in field and then share the project to the XPAD Office Fusion software. So that means that, for example, we can store some images, but also we can acquire some topographic survey with the TPS or the GNSS, just to, for example, give the software the possibility to use also some ground control points or some reference point in order to better process also the photogrammetric survey, but also to scale the data. We can use the built-in camera of the device, of the tablet, or we can use the external camera connected to the tablet. So it means that, for example, we can use a reflex camera, and they also remote, for example, application that allows to connect the camera directly to the hardware, to the tablet by Wi-Fi or by Bluetooth, or we can connect an action camera. Again, with a Wi-Fi, we can directly download the photos in the tablet, import the photos in the X-Photo photogrammetric survey in Ultimate, and then directly process all this data to XPAD Office Fusion. I can also show you in real time how we can do this process. Okay, just a sec, I will share the correct. Okay, here we are. So this is the XPAD Ultimate software. Into survey, we can find photographic survey. We can click directly here, create a new session. For example, I said, add the photos, and here we can directly take the photos in real time using the built-in camera of the device. We can load the photo from the gallery, or we can load photos automatically in case, for example, we already have the photos in the folder, in the system folder. Okay, just a little introduction about the photogrammetry application and which camera we can use for this kind of application. So for the photographic survey application XPAD Ultimate. So in the market, we have various types of digital cameras, from smartphone, compact camera, action cam, bridges, mirrorless, and reflex. This camera can be equipped with a fixed or interchangeable lenses, but also with the different zooms. So it means that, for example, smartphone, compact camera, but also action camera can use directly a fixed lens, but with various zoom. Basically, we can directly change the zoom length recognized by the camera. Regarding this, also the difference between the cameras, we need to talk about the photographic sensor. A digital images is composed by different pixels, like a grid of pixels, and basically these pixels, so this image digital images is recorded in the camera sensor. What does it mean? Basically, we can compare the camera sensor, the digital camera sensor, to the old analog film. So the bigger is the film, the bigger is the camera sensor, in that case the digital sensor, the more information we can record and acquire directly on field. So the larger the sensor size, the more information we can store. So in that case, we talk about the resolution. However, we must not be afraid about that. We must not be frightened about that. Just because with a digital photogrammetry, we can use any type of sensor, any type of hardware, from a smartphone to reflex camera. For example, the first photogrammetry application was with the pigeon. You can also find a picture here. Was funny, but was the truth. The main difference then between the sensor can be compensated by the photogrammetry acquisition using, for example, more photos, or for example, shooting the photos closest to the object, closest, for example, to the facade. So more images can compensate a smaller sensor. Of course, there is the possibility to create also, there are different formulas. I will not show you there, but we already did a webinar in the past for the photogrammetry application with all the formulas. So just send a chat to us and we will share also the videos. In that case, we will concentrate directly on the application and not on the formulas. So basically, I will show you directly on field that it's possible to acquire and create a digital photogrammetry dataset just based on some simple rules. These rules are listed here. So we need to shoot the photos acquiring it as orthogonal as possible to the surface or to the object. So this can be also used for example, for the drone acquisition. We can directly shoot a photo in a radial orientation or with a tilted camera. With a tilted camera, maybe we can have more information in 3D, but then we need to, for example, to use orthogonal photos or radial photo to better have also the 2D than orthophotos. So orthogonal photos as possible. Of course, we can move around the object. We must shoot the photos with at least 60% overlaps within each next photos. So it means horizontal and vertical. I will show you also then a small example. And basically, we must avoid this kind of shooting. So not based on a simple center and then rotate the camera. We must move step by step to acquire all the surfaces. We must not use for example, this is quite similar to the first example, but not too simple the center for shooting the photos, but orientate around the object and also have the good overlaption between each photos. 60% overlaption is the minimum required to have a correct data set. We must, if possible, avoid the automatic shooting. What does it mean? The automatic shooting has also an automatic white balance for the photos, but also has also an automatic brightness recognition for the shooting. So in that case, the better condition is not during the midday, but is during the for example, during the first hour of the days or the last hour of the days, when the shadows are basically we have less shadows in the surface. The light condition should be, so as told you, as much homogeneous as possible. So avoid strong light contrast and shadow, of course. Take at least 2-3 data set of shot at different height. So for example, usually for a higher facade, the better thing is to use also a pole from which we can also extend the pole and acquire the photos orthogonal to the facade but with different elevation. Then, in order to complete a picture of the element, the surveyor can be also surveyed with any altitude jumps, slopes, inaccessible point vegetation. So the photogrammetry acquisition can also compensate something that maybe cannot be stored, used a terrestrial scanner or also a SLAM scanner, but in that case we can also compensate and create a dataset that can be integrated also with the other dataset. Prepare the path, prepare also the survey, so use the marker if possible, or use it a metric reference according to the, for example, to the data that we need to store. I will show you then in a few minutes two different examples of the same dataset, of the same facade. The first one will be with a TPS, with some point measured with the TPS. The second one will be with 3 points just measured with a wooden meter. Okay, so what does it mean, for example, horizontal and vertical overlaption? That means that we need to show the first photos, then we need to have a correct overlaption, so 60% overlaption between the first and the second photos, in that case in vertical. Then third photos, same overlaption, but in that case from the second and the third in the horizontal. And that's the same also for the other photos. We need to then acquire the photos always with a minimum 60% overlaption in horizontal and vertical. So that means that, for example, this area is covered by many images with a correct overlaption. Of course, when you process a photogrammetry data set, the lowest point, the point with the lowest accuracy, will be around the corner area. Then let's see what does it mean shooting photographic survey in field. Okay, photographic survey. You will find then these videos on XPath 365, also to allow you to visualize it again and maybe to use directly on field during your application. So now, basically, I measured some points on this small facade. It's a garage with 2 garages, auto boxes, just to have some points on which we can scale the project, on which we can use as reference point then in these photos. The best will be to have the points not in a linear sequence. So, for example, 1 point here, the second point on the other side of the facade, third and fourth. I will also show you then directly on the Office solution or on the Office software. So after registered, after acquired and measured the points, we can directly move to the photographic survey. Okay, then I will open the internal camera. As you can see there, I used automatically just to show that it's possible to use automatically, but it's not recommended to use it. Then I just set to use the maximum pixel resolution for the camera. Move back to the main survey menu, photographic survey, new survey project, photographic survey project, take photos directly from the cameras. And now I'm shooting the photos like I told you in the previous slide. Vertical overlaption, horizontal overlaption, to compensate the entire facade surface. Okay, after created the entire dataset, so this is the last photos, we can move back to the main menu. The photo will be loading directly in XPath Ultimate. Okay, 30 photos successfully registered. Yes, I want also to move these photos in the project folder. And that's it. We need only to export the photos from the device to XPath Office Fusion. And then after selected the formats, we have different possibilities to share the file. Device and cloud, so that means that we can register this dataset directly on the device and then maybe transferred by USB cable. Cloud, in that case, we can use several cloud included, for example, the XPAD 365, OneDrive, or Dropbox, and also other drives. Save the data directly in the XPAD 365 storage area, share with chat, or share, for example, using an email services. Okay, let's move then to the X photos. So here you can find the entire videos. You will receive the videos of this webinar in 2 days, but just feel free to contact us in case you need some, in case you have some requests, or in case you need something else. So this is the same video, but in that case, I have also have the X photos on software side. Okay, so after shared the file with the XPAD Office Fusion format, in XPAD Office Fusion, the file, the service is already there, but also the photogrammetry application is already created with the photos inside. What we need to do? We need to enter, for example, some settings that you can find on top right side. We can import the reference point, and then we can process everything. So be careful, because the reference point, unlimited reference point, and the reference point recognition and orientation can be used only with the Aerial Pro license. I will show you also in some slides what does it mean and what are the difference between the Aerial Pro and the Ground Basic license. So here basically we are orientating the cameras, orientating the images, and create the sparse cloud. As you can see there, since the camera is not registered in the list, in the camera list, the first time you will find this error. It's not an error, it's an advertised. Optimized camera parameters different, more or less focal length 5%. So it means that the camera is not in the recognized camera list. So the first time you are using the camera, you're using the dataset with this camera, the message will appear. Then after the dataset is already created and stored, the camera parameter automatically will be registered in the software side, and in the next project this message will not appear if for example the focal length will be always fixed. In case you change the focal length, of course the message will appear again, because the camera register now is using another focal length. Okay, just move forward. This is the sparse cloud. You can find here the cameras used, the camera registered, the tie point recognized, so the common point recognized within all the photos. And now basically I'm moving and recognize the different reference point. I can directly select from the different cameras, from different images. I can use the filters here to also list the photo based on the reference point position. And here also I have the graphic view. So I need at least 3 points to move to the optimized orientation page. After that, for example, in that case, I will adjust the position of the 4th point. All the reference points are recognized. Here we can list the photos from the reference point position. I'm not using a targets in that case, a marker. So I just move forward and start to adjust the target position for each photos. So that means that at the end I will have better calculation, better positioning for the photos. One by one, I can drag the circle to the center reference point position, or I can directly click on the target position in order to automatically point the target. So if you try to use only one target or less target than the target listed, we'll find this message. So it's a warning. You're using only one reference point in a list of 4. You can move forward or you can directly adjust the position also for the other target to have the best orientation and to best also point cloud, dense point cloud resolution. Okay, I will move just forward. So in that case, you can find directly here the settings, and you can also check what's going on. So we calculate the accuracy, and then you can select from settings the automatic parameters for the calculation, or then you can move forward and decide which kind of resolution you need. For example, for dense cloud, you can use the GPU of the device, of the hardware, to have better calculation, improve also the time. You can use a different reconstruction level from very low up to extreme. And then you can also create the 3D mesh automatically. Okay, now basically we are creating the 3D dense cloud and have the result at the end in the 3D reconstruction menu. So of course, we created also the point cloud from the other object around our surfaces. We can directly use the tools here to clean up the point clouds and then to create a 3D mesh only for this part of the facade. It's quite simple. You just need to select the tools, then decide the points that you want to remove, the point clouds that you want to remove. Be careful, but because this point cannot be restored, you need to calculate again the dense point cloud. So after cleaning up the point clouds, we can directly create a 3D mesh and then export everything to the main pages of the XPath Fusion software. Using the Aerial Pro license, we are also able to create the report for the photogrammetry calculation. Okay, in this case, we already cleaned up the point clouds. There are some points, but you can also create a 3D mesh. And here you can also select the different quality mesh and the different also resolution. So after creating the mesh, okay, let's move forward. The result is clear. I switched off the dense cloud, and here we have the 3D mesh. Then create the report with the possibility also to customize the report with the label of the company, with the label of the project, or the surveyor that performed the surveys directly on field. So different information that we can directly import and register it. So this is the simple report for the Xphoto session with all the information from each step of the Xphoto calculations. Okay, we can store the report, and the report will be directly listed under the project manager menu. So here we have the report page. And then moving back to the XPath Fusion page, main interface, we can use the different tools, for example, to create a drawing and then to create the report. But I will show you directly in real time. I just want to show you the second option that we have in field to register the data and basically also to create, to measure, to scale the project. So instead of measuring the points with the GNSS or TPS, we can directly create manually the point and maybe measure it with a meter, maybe measure it with a distal laser. So what we need, I just enter the first point. I will use the point 1 as a reference point for the 2 axes. Then I move to the CAD, layout, and in that case, I will create point and line starting from point 1, horizontal axis, and the distance between the first and the second point. So 0, 0 in elevation and in epsilon value, only with the x value in horizontal. Then third point, in that case, could be only in vertical. So basically, I created an axis based on one of the point of the surface area, and then we can scale directly project using these 3 points. The photo acquisition is basically the same photographic survey, different points on which we can scale the project. What does it mean? Image that you're using the ground basic license. With the ground basic license, you cannot scale, you cannot orientate the project using the reference point, unlimited number of the reference point, but of course you have some limitation. This means that, for example, we can use at least 3 points in order to process the data. So in that case, I move forward. In that case, we already create a sparse cloud. We can create a dense cloud here. Sorry, just move forward to show you that, for example, with the ground basic, we have only starting data, camera orientation, and 3D reconstruction. After cleaning up the point clouds, we can use the tools here to scale the project. So reference point. And I will also show you there. Okay, first point. Sorry, I'm opening the page, opening Office Fusion to show you in real time the 2 different projects. Okay, this is the first project orientated with a target point. I will directly delete this point, sorry, the point created manually. Sorry, target point. Okay, here we are. This is the points created manually. I will directly delete it. And here we are. So after created the point clouds and imported the point clouds and the 3D mesh here in Office Fusion, this is the 3D mesh, and this is the point clouds. Is everything listed here. Also the report is automatically there. What we can do here, we can, for example, image that you are using a facade. You want to create directly the drawing on a vertical facade. I can move to drawing. I can select vertical, 2 points for the plane. In that case, I'm using also the Smart Magnifier, a zoom lens inside the visualization that allows me to directly move to the closest point. Okay, vertical plane. Now, drawing functionality, polyline, first point. I will directly select the corner area. This can be used for every vertical. Sorry, this point is not correct. Okay, undo last point. Okay, this can be used for every vertical object or vertical plane. Okay, 4 point, close, and automatically we have the point directly listed here. I will switch off the projection plane. You can see then that the points are here. We can easily analyze the point. I will switch off the point class to make it clear. Home area. And here we can select the 3D area, but also the store annotation. 1, 2, 3, 4, close, created. So image that, for example, you need to create a calculation for the windows of the door the facade of the or a vertical binding, for example, to create to use the because you need to print it. So this is the first option that we have. Then imagine that then you have more than one object, for example, drawing polyline, just to create some more object. Okay, here we are. Again, close. So now we create the two different objects, but we can also move to the imaging menu and use the stereo drawing functionality. The stereo drawing functionality is based on the whole stereo drawing application. So the two different images from which we can acquire the points position. In that case, we can use the drawing functionality and, for example, create a drawing of the stop command. Let me use, for example, something better, not the heart. We can directly create a point here in the graphic view, or we can directly move here, select the target, and automatically have the result here. Close, and here we are. Now, if we select the polyline in the stereo drawing application, we can use other photos to adjust the position. So as you can see there, from different field of view, the position seems not correct. Okay, let's also use another photos here. Yes, you can directly find there that we are not in the correct position. After finish it, we can directly close it, and the result will be updated. In that case, we are not using the projection plane. So some point can be not clear, some point can be not correctly created. We can directly, for example, move again to images, stereo drawing, and again create a new one. Drawing, polyline, facade. Close it. So we miss also one point, that is just to show you that we are able to modify it. Okay, apply. Maybe also from other position. Yes, this is not correct. As you can see, it's quite also simple to use the photos. Okay, now just move to the output panel and create automatically the report. Object report. In that case, you can directly select all the object or only the data that you need. Enter, report. Sorry, is in the second monitor. And in that case, we can create a simple report or the report with the images. Okay, this is the simple report for the object created, also with the points. If I use images, the report can be also adjusted with the images. And in that case, I also have the label of the company and the label of the project that I can directly import here. Home, project, headers. So that means that using this option, I can have directly, automatically in the project, the headers of the company and of the project. And I can also create, save the template for all the settings that I already created, that I already decided to use here for this specific project. So for example, Academy. So in that case, I will also store all the information from the settings up to the headers. And if I want to open a new project directly from the template, here we are. Perfect. Okay. No. The second example is the example with a 3-point created directly with a layout. So in that case, it means that I scaled the point clouds and the mesh using these 3 points. Let's move back to the ground photo sessions and check it together how we can do it. 3D reconstruction. Okay. Here we are. So we can use the tools from this page to directly, for example, clean up the point clouds. Here we are. Yes. Let's switch off the dense cloud, the dense mesh. We can also rotate the object using these 2 functionality, for example, horizontal and vertical. Or vertical, or use 3 reference points. Delete all the reference points. I can also use vertical and show you how we can do it. Okay, this is not correct, but I can directly use, for example, this was just to show you that I can modify it. And here I can use the correct position. Sorry, vertical, first point. Okay, this is the correct position. So from up to down, you will rotate the object. Then reference point. I have these 3 points automatically in the project. I can use, for example, the first corner. This is number 1. This is the number 2. And this is number 3. Now the project, once saved into XProfis Fusion, is already scaled using these 3 points that I created directly from the layout menu of the XPAR Ultimate CAD application. Okay, let's move back to the presentation. So we already seen how we can acquire the photos directly on field. This is just a small resume about the functionality of the XProfis Fusion. So XProfis Fusion is the software that can from which we can import different hardware dataset from TPS, GNSS, laser, beam file, Zoom 3D file, but also laser scanning. We can not import only from the GMAX World, from the GMAX basket solution, but also with the third-party solution. So we can import the 3D formats as an OBJ, as a meshes, fill formats, drawing format, also from other brands, topographic data formats, point clouds, and also BM file. Okay, regarding instead the Xphoto solution, the Xphoto is the imaging processing model, which allows to process the images from drones and from terrestrial photogrammetry. We have 2 different models for the image processing. The Xphotos aerial, that allows you to process an unlimited number of the images, aerial or terrestrial, with all the features included. So we can directly create the 3D mesh, the DSM, the orthophotos, also the overlaption maps, and of course the dense cloud. Instead, with the Xphotos ground, we can process a maximum of 75 images at 50-meter distance, generate a georeference point cloud with 3 different points that reference point that we already seen a few seconds ago, and also the 3D texture of the mesh. Of course, the license can be not locked, so linked to the single laptop, or floating, so installed on a server and then used from the different laptop. And basically, this is the result. This is the workflow that we can use with Aerial Pro. We can process aerial or terrestrial photogrammetry dataset. We can load the data, load the navigation data if not recognized automatically by the software, load the ground control point, or the reference point is the same, manual definition at least 3 ground control points or reference point, then create the output, dense cloud, DSM, 3D textured surfaces, and orthophotos. Instead, if you are using an RTK flight, an RTK drone, we can directly move from load photos to the output. And of course, the report from the Xphotos module can be created only with the Aerial Pro license. The ground basic is different. We have some limitations, so the limitation that we already seen before, so 75 images at 50 meters and only 3 reference points, but from the output menu. So load photos, ground control point, manual definition only with aerial license. So in that case, we are talking about the terrestrial dataset with the ground basic. So this is not be possible only with the Aerial Pro license. So we must import the photos and then move directly to the output, to the 3D reconstruction menu, from which we can create a dense cloud. Then we can edit, orientate, and scale the point cloud using the tools that we already seen, and then we can create the 3D textured surfaces. Of course, the result is different, but you can have you can have a better result only if you are using the data set, the suggestion that I show you in the first part of the webinar for the photos acquisition. Okay, it's all for today. If you have any question, feel free to write us on our mail, academy@geomaxmanualpositioning.com, or to write directly on chat. As I told you, you will receive in 2 days the videos of this presentation, and in a few minutes, these videos will be also, the videos of the photographic survey that I show you will be also at disposal on the X365 platform, from the browsers, but also from the device, from the tablet in a few minutes. So thanks for the participation and have a good day.
Thanks for watching.